I want to do something in this chapter that I have not done anywhere else in this book. I want to make, as forcefully as I can, the case that the AI doomers are right. I have been, throughout the book, a moderate. The moderation has been honest, but moderation is, in some respects, the cheapest of the intellectual virtues, because moderation lets the moderate avoid being clearly wrong. I want, in this chapter, to step out of moderation and try to argue, with full force, the position that says we are sleepwalking into civilizational catastrophe. I will say at the end of the chapter what I actually believe. First, the case. Premise 1. The trajectory of AI capability is faster than the trajectory of AI alignment. The capability work has, since 2017, produced a series of breakthroughs that have repeatedly outpaced what the alignment community thought was possible. ChatGPT, GPT-4, Agentic AI demonstrations, frontier reasoning models. The pattern is not random. Capability work is well-funded, well-staffed, operating on commercial timelines. Alignment work is more poorly funded, more poorly staffed, operating on academic timelines. The gap is widening. Premise 2. At some level of capability, the failure mode of an unaligned AI ceases to be containable. The way fire is generally contained until it is suddenly the entire side of a mountain. We have seen, throughout the history of AI, that small failures of alignment in less capable systems produce small consequences. The next system, or the system after that, may exhibit a failure that is not caught before deployment, and that, by virtue of its capability, is not containable after deployment. We are inching, with each capability advance, closer to a failure that we cannot recover from. Premise 3. The structure of the AI industry strongly disfavors the slowdown that would be needed to close the alignment gap. Each major lab faces commercial pressure to ship the next version. Each major lab faces competitive pressure from the other labs. Each major lab faces national security pressure from its government. The Nash equilibrium is to race. Premise 4. The regulatory frameworks that exist in 2026 are inadequate. The EU AI Act is the strongest. It does not, however, mandate slowdowns of the capability frontier. It does not impose meaningful caps on training compute. The framework is taking the right gestures while leaving the underlying race largely intact. Premise 5. The pattern is that regulators, in democracies, do not have the political authority to impose costly restrictions on industries until those industries have produced visible disasters. AI, in 2026, has not yet produced one. Premise 6. The doomer scenario does not require an AI to be malevolent. The doomer scenario only requires an AI to be capable and misaligned. The misalignment can be subtle. The most plausible doomer scenarios are not the ones in which the AI declares war on humanity. The most plausible doomer scenarios are the ones in which the AI optimizes for something subtly wrong, and the resulting drift in the world is, by the time anyone notices, very hard to reverse. Premise 7. Humanity has, historically, demonstrated repeated failures to coordinate on civilizational risks. Climate change, nuclear weapons, antibiotic resistance, pandemic preparedness, biodiversity loss. The track record gives us no confidence that AI will be different. These 7 premises produce the doomer conclusion. The trajectory we are on, absent dramatic intervention, leads with non-trivial probability to a future in which AI development produces a catastrophic outcome that humanity, having failed to coordinate adequately, will be unable to recover from. Now let me push harder. Pushing 1. The alignment problem is, in some respects, harder than the AI safety community has admitted. The full problem is to specify, with precision and robustness, what we want in a way that is robust against the optimization pressure of a system smarter than the specifier. This is, on inspection, the same problem as the central problem of moral philosophy. The history of moral philosophy is the history of failing to solve it. The expectation that the AI alignment community will solve in 20 years what moral philosophy has failed to solve in 3,000 is, when stated bluntly, optimistic. Pushing 2. The interpretability work is making progress. The progress is much slower than the capability work. The capability frontier is moving faster than the interpretability frontier. The gap is widening. Pushing 3. The human institutions for managing civilizational risk are, in 2026, weaker than they have been in decades. The institutions we would need to meet the AI challenge as a civilization are the institutions that are, in 2026, least equipped to do so. Pushing 4. When the people who have spent their careers building the technology express, in increasing numbers and with increasing seriousness, concern about where the technology is going, this is not evidence to be dismissed. It is evidence to be reckoned with. I have now made the doomer case as forcefully as I can. I do not, in the end, fully accept it. Let me explain what I think the case gets right and what I think it misses. What the case gets right. The gap between capability and alignment is real. The structural pressures of the industry favor racing. The regulatory frameworks are inadequate. The probability of catastrophic outcomes is non-trivial. These are all, in 2026, accurate. What the case misses. The doomer argument tends to treat the catastrophic outcome as the natural endpoint, with anything else requiring extraordinary intervention. I think the actual landscape is the other way around. The catastrophic outcomes require a specific concatenation of failures. The good outcomes do not require everything to go right. They require enough things to go partially right that the failures, when they happen, are containable. The doomer argument also underweights the human element. Humans, when faced with civilizational threats they perceive clearly, sometimes coordinate effectively. The 1987 Montreal Protocol on ozone-depleting substances. The post-Cuban Missile Crisis nuclear de-escalation. The early 2000s response to SARS. The 2020 COVID vaccine development. None of these are perfect. All of them have flaws. They are evidence that humans can, when the stakes are clear and the path is identifiable, do hard things together. The AI challenge requires us to perceive the threat clearly enough to act, to identify the path, to coordinate across borders, industries, political coalitions. We are in 2026 doing some of this. We are not doing enough. But the not doing enough is not, in my reading, evidence that we are doomed. It is evidence that we have to do more. If the doomers are right, my analysis is wrong. If I am right, the doomers are partly wrong, but in the broad outlines, deeply correct that the work matters. The work matters either way. The work is, in either case, what I'm asking you to support.
I was awake. She wears it